Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. I'm the Chess Nerd, and today we're going to be looking at what happens when I play a rapid game. So if you don't know about me, I don't play rapid games often. I'm more of a blitz guy. In fact, all year I've been playing 3-minute blitzes on and on and on. And then one day I just thought to myself, you know what? Let's just play a rapid. And this is what happens when I play a rapid. A rapid is a slower game, so increments of 10 minutes each, 15 minutes each, and even 30 minutes each. So let's get started with the game. I hope you enjoy this video. So the game started off with e4, c5, knight f3, and d6. This is known as the Sicilian defense. Now I have d4 opening it up, c takes, and knight takes. So far so good. Knight f6, and now knight c3 to defend my pawn. Now we go with g6, and this is called the dragon, my friend, Sicilian dragon. And what black is planning to do is do a fianchetto bishop on g7, and then castle quickly here. So I continue with development, and what's original about my Sicilian is that I castle on opposite side with castles here. What this incites is that now I can attack black with my pawns in a pawn rush, and then black can attack me on my wing, so we're both targeting each other's kings in this matter. And so I continue with queen c7, and then I go with bishop b3. My bishop was being threatened. Now b5, and now king b1. King safety, number one rule in the Sicilian. You always want to play king b1 before starting your pawn storm. This is crucial. Bishop b7, and now h4. h5 and g4. So this is a classical pawn offering. So if black takes my pawn, I were to play h5 and just march on. Giving a pawn when you're sending your pawns to the king is very, very normal. I mean, it's just to open lines and to open attacking opportunities. Knight d7, now bishop h6. So basically, I want to trade the bishop. So basically, I want to trade the dark squared bishop here because it's the lord of all the dark squares here on this king. So if I can get rid of this crucial defender for black, I can get up top. So bishop h8, they refuse the exchange, and now I play g takes h5. This game gets crazier and crazier as we go along, so stay with me. Knight takes h5 and rook g1. So every single move I'm playing attacks something. What does this move attack? Pause the video. Here, this rook g1 move threatens to take this pawn on g6 with check on the king on g8 because this pawn on f7 that's supposedly guarding g6 is pinned. And so I'm actually threatening g6. So black defends this by just adding on a defender on g6 with knight e5. So I attempt to remove that knight with f4, attacking this knight once again. Knight moves to c4, blocking my bishop. So black is playing really well, actually, always preventing me from taking this g6 pawn at whatever moment. So they're following up with my threats and defending efficiently. Queen e2, another threat here. Even though this knight was attacking my queen on d2, and no, I'm not removing one of my attackers to take their counterattackers, their defenders. So queen e2, I'm moving my queen, but I'm also surreptitiously attacking something else. I'm attacking this knight, once again by a pin. This knight is not defended by this pawn because it's pinned to the king. And so this speaks to how weak this king is and how exposed it is, because this g6 pawn and now this knight on h5 are always in trouble. King h7 now, going out of the pin, and finally I cannot take here, so I move on with f5. And every single move, the last 4 moves I've played, have all had threats. Here f5, threatening to dismember these 2 pawns, uncoordinate black's pieces, and if I can take on g6, this can be really, really good for attacking purposes, if I can get this pawn on g6 to be lonely and undefended. King takes h6, so this was a sacrifice. I'm actually sacrificing my bishop in exchange for a weak and advanced king towards my opposition. This is well worth the trade, as you'll see later. And now I go in with a crazy move, knight e6, sacrificing my knight. Can you find why black cannot take advantage of my free knight here that I'm offering? Well, if you haven't guessed, if f takes e6, we'll calculate for the purpose of education. I have rook takes g6 check, and this forces the king down on h7. Again, this rook on g6, defended by my pawn on f5. Every move has a purpose when you attack. Once the king slides down to h7, now I have queen takes h5 checkmate because this pawn is no more. So I'm threatening checkmate if you are to take my knight. Game over. So what is this knight doing? Well, it's taking critical squares in the black opposition and also taking squares around the king. So this is all good stuff. And of course, attacking this queen. So black has to move their queen. Queen c8. And this is a problem for black. In fact, here I missed a win. And instead, I played an equalizing move, which is not as good. I should have found the win here. So if you can pause the video and find the win, wow, you're good. If not, the win here is similar to what I played later in the game, so we'll just see what I played. Instead, I went to knight d5, which is not so good because of trading here. It just delays my attack one move later. Black have the opportunity to fold back their knight with knight f6 here, and less harm is done. But here, black plays a tremendous error. Although this seems like a nice move, knight takes b2, defended by the bishop and weakening my king at once, first time in the game black does something like this, it doesn't because I arrive first. In fact, here I have all forced moves, queen e3 check, we're starting here, inciting the king to move, king h7, and now f takes g6 check. All checks, all forced, black has no say. F takes g6 for defense, and as I told you, it would be great to uncoordinate these pawns. That achievement is finally over with, and now I can play the move of the game, the move you've been waiting for. Rook takes g6, sacrificing my rook, and this speaks to an amazing game that I played here. So what is this rook sacrifice threatening? This is always the first thing that you think of in a sacrifice. Well, I'm threatening queen h6 checkmate. This is very hard to defend, in fact. Maybe black has bishop g7, but they're more or less forced to take my rook. I mean, if they don't with bishop g7, I think I just have knight takes g7 and it's super winning. So king takes, and now I have the beautiful queen g5 check. And this forces black in a pit, in a bad situation, forcing moves backwards, and this knight is gonna fall over eventually. So king f7, and now I have queen takes h5 check. Again, it's all check, so black has no time to play a queen c3 and remove their knight to threaten checkmate. No time, no time. And here, ladies and gentlemen, and people who identify with another pronoun, black resigned in this position. Let's see why. So after queen takes the knight on h6, I do check here, and the king has 1 and 2 options. If black goes king g8, I have the nice queen g6 check. And at any time in this video, you should pause create yourself a puzzle and challenge yourself to find the answer. This kind of looks like, it mimics checkmate, forces bishop g7, and now we have simple checkmate on g7. Now again, and now, of course, if you go king f6 here, I calculated the simple rook f1 checkmate. You see, this knight takes up this very valuable g7 square, and my queen takes the rest over. And so this king is fiercely and firmly trapped by this rook f1. And this, ladies and gentlemen, and people who identify with other pronouns, is how I won this game. First rapid game I had played in 6 months. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're curious, there's bonus footage at the end of this video. Please watch that if you want. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Go sub to the Chess Nerd. There we have the channel.
Bonus footage here. I played knight g3, a nice little fork, but that's not what's special about this game. After the queen moves, I take this rook, and now bishop takes a6. Also winning the exchange. What do? No. I don't just submit with queen b8 and then letting the white pieces equalize. No, I don't do that. I sacrifice on the bishop. Knight takes, and now knight takes e3. So what do I have? Let's calculate material. You should be doing this in every game where there's a material imbalance. Here I have a light squared bishop, a dark squared bishop, and a rook for a queen. So let's see how I play this. So I play after queen e2 attacking my knight. I play bishop d4. Very nice way to defend a knight. I'm defending and I'm threatening a discovery check on the king. After the queen moves, queen d3. So any move that's discovery check on the king, white is threatening to take my bishop. So I don't submit to that. I play rook c1. Tempo giving move and forcing the king to move. King f2, and now I have rook c2. So, here they played king e1, which after I played bishop c3, mimicking checkmate. Look at this beautiful set of squares taken up by my rook and knight. Here, white resigned because they have to give back the queen on c3, and that would be a rook and a bishop up. But what if the king would have gone to g3? Well, this is the fun part. Here I have rook takes g2, and if king on f4, I just have e5 checkmate. And if the king goes to h4, I have a really nice combination, g5, king h5, and now bishop e8 check. King h6, and now bishop g7 ties it all up for the black pieces. This would be checkmate. Third, if king goes back to g1, I got knight f5 check, king moves, let's say, to h2, and now I would have bishop e5 check. And if the king moves now, I have check, king on f2, and now bishop b5. What a move! So we're attacking the queen. If the queen takes our bishop, we have bishop g3 check, king moves, forced to e2, and now we have a nice royal fork, winning back the queen handsomely. And after king e2 here, d2 here, I take the queen, and here I'm a piece up. This is completely winning. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing day. Peace.